One of the ways that you can get kids to read more is by getting books that they actually want to read.
Get up, my life woman. Get up.
Our school allows us a small amount of money that we can order books every year to be able to get things that we think the kids might think are interesting, or things that the kids want to order themselves. And so I have these little slips. You write down the author, you write down the book, and as long as it's like on grade level, or I think that it's appropriate enough, I'll order whatever book you want me to order for you. So book order came in today. Let's see what we got. Someone was just asking on Twitter the other day what YA books or young adult books are popular within the horror genre. And so for me, the Rotten Ruin collection, 5 books, my kids tear through these. I've actually had to order these 3 different times because they've been read so much that the covers just start falling off and the pages start coming out. Fun tip for reading: the newer your books look, the more apt kids are to read them. They get really excited if they get to be the first one to ever read a book. So yeah. Heroes of Olympus series. This is another series of books that if kids like ancient Greek mythology, these books are really great for them. It takes that sort of element and turns it into something new. If they like the Percy Jackson series, they'll love these also. They're right on grade level, maybe middle schoolish, but my guys tear through them. And if I can ever get them to read longer books, I'll try and do that over shorter books. But beggars can't be choosers. New book by Derek Brown. Derek Brown is one of my favorite poets. I've met him several times. He's done stuff with my students where he's let them open for him at his shows. But this is his new book of poems. I'm very selective in my poetry. I like poetry. The way I think of it is I try and teach poetry for kids who don't like poetry. So guys like Anis Mojgani or Derek Brown or Saul Williams or Buddy Wakefield, these get the kids excited about poetry, and it's not just people with berets on in a coffee house somewhere snapping their fingers.
Woman. Whoa, man. Whoa, man.
It's a big book. Ooh, it's 2 books. First one is, oh yeah, Good Clean Fun by Nick Offerman. Kind of a weird book to order. I have a leadership academy or an after-school program that I lead that's about making things and how to work with tools and how to work with your hands. And so I saw an interview about this book on Jimmy DeResta's channel on YouTube, and I really thought it looked like a great fit for my class. So I got it for some of my guys. I've had guys ask for cookbooks before, how to build sets for plays before. And so my thing is, as long as they're reading, I care very little what you're actually reading as long as you are reading every day. Since Straight Outta Compton came out last year, there's been a lot of interest over NWA, Public Enemy, Tribe Called Quest, sort of the golden age of hip hop. And so one of my guys is just tearing through every book that he can get his hands on about NWA. It started some really good conversation, and we've had some really good dialogue about these books and NWA and what they meant in the early days and who they were and what they were trying to say. So yeah, again, don't really care so much what the topic is on as long as it's like not wildly inappropriate, because if it gets you to read, then it gets you to read. Boy 21. It's a book sort of based in sports, but there's a lot of things to learn through it, like empathy and compassion for other people and people that are different than you. And I can't say enough about it. Matthew Quick is a relative of a friend, so that means that, well, it really means nothing. I wish it did. The killer whale who changed the world. I got dudes all the time that want to know more about animals. They have questions about maybe becoming like a marine biologist or working with animals or becoming a veterinarian. Animal books are really tough. If you know any animal books that you think kids like that are of high school age, please leave it in the comments below, because I'd love to know what other people are giving their kids that goes along with this topic. The series is another one that goes a long way with in the horror genre. Fury, another great book that the kids like in that kind of horror genre. Got a lot of horror genre guys this year. However, a lot of those dudes have read like a lot of Stephen King, and they just wanted something that was newer, and so this is what I get. My man's gonna be stoked about this. Michael Vey series is huge in our school. We go through these books like crazy. Also, this is the newest book. I tried to get it order it before it came out, and I just couldn't make it happen. So this dude's been waiting for this book literally for about 2 months, and he's gonna be stoked when I have it for him here today. another Escape from the Furnace book. So a lot of times what will happen is if guys are talking about books, I know like high school kids talking about books, if they're talking about books and someone will come in and say, hey, so-and-so's reading this book, how come I can't read that book? Or do you have another copy of it? Or can we order another copy of it? Heck yeah, man, I'll order anything you want, so long as you read. Living with a Seal. I saw this guy on, I forget, someone's podcast the other week, and this guy hires this guy to live with him for 30 days, who's a former Navy SEAL, and it's about how he helps him to kind of get his life in line. You know, one of the funny things that you deal with when you're a teacher is when your beliefs don't kind of match up with someone else's. So like, I'm a pacifist, but I have guys that are interested in the military, so I'm not gonna like shut them off and not help educate them about that, and I don't want to necessarily gear their thinking one way or the other. So I order books that I think will empower them with whatever that they choose to do, and also educate them on stuff. And so along with this book, I also got Extreme Ownership. And so this is a book by Jocko Willink, who I heard on the Tim Ferriss podcast, and he just talks about how you can take skills that you learn in the military and use them in real world situations, and it's really fantastic. Oh, and for the super nerds that aren't afraid of giant books, this is the whole series, Night Angel, the complete series. It is, a kid has been waiting for this for a very long time. I hope he's as stoked as I am. One of the things about getting kids books is not always can you afford a book as a kid. Like, you're a 15-year-old kid, and sometimes you just can't. Some of my guys read so quickly that it really becomes an expense to help them keep up on what books they're reading. So if I can order a big, thick piece of literature like this for you, I'm down to do it. And then that helps your parents out, or helps you out for not having to have to, spend so much money on books. Hotel in the Corner, Bitter or Sweet. Sometimes I order a book for myself. My friend and author, Randy Rebai, who wrote this book, An Infinite Number of Parallel Universes, recommended this book to me. Dishwasher, One Man's Quest to Wash Dishes in All 50 States. Had this book before, DJ Khaled's The Keys. Had it for 2 hours in my classroom. A student took it, he loved it. I just let him keep it, and then I ordered another one for the classroom. So I'm excited to have another copy of this book back. A Wrestling Life, another Tim Ferriss fan favorite. Not really sure what this is about. Tattoos on the Heart, second book I ordered for myself. So I've read a ton of teacher books, a ton of books about teachers telling their story, but there's something about this Jesuit priest who's working with gang members in southern Los Angeles that if I read this during the day when I'm having a particularly difficult day, it calms me, and it helps me to make better decisions for the rest of my day and to really remind me to have compassion for the students. So I really recommend any of his books. There's also a TED Talk that he did. There's tons of lectures in YouTube that he has. I'll link some of that stuff below if you just want to click on it, but I can't recommend this dude enough. The Bird loves Michael Jackson. He's not even in my grade anymore. I haven't taught him for 2 years, but some of those guys, they stay with you, and you would do anything for them. And so if that means I'm ordering books for you that you really want to get yourself, but you just haven't gotten, I'll hook you up, Bird. There you go, Moonwalk.